Today we're going to look at a strategy you can use for solving inequality word problems. Before we get started, there are 3 vocabulary terms you need to know. The first word is a constraint. A constraint is a limit. When you have an inequality, you are typically looking at something that is greater than or less than, maybe equal to. So those are going to be your limits. If it has to be less than a certain amount or greater than a certain amount, that's your constraint. You may also be asked to find a viable solution. A viable solution is a solution that makes your inequality true. It's a solution that works in the situation that you're being given. And a non-viable solution is a solution that would make your inequality false. So if you look at your situation, it's something that wouldn't work out. So when you're looking at a word problem, it's important for you to break it down, and this graphic here goes through and tells you how you should look at your word problem, what things you should pay attention to before you get started. So it says, Andrew wants to join the YMCA. The initial fee of $65 along with a monthly fee of $25. So he has to pay an initial fee when he joins the gym of $65, and then he also has to pay $21 every single month. Andrew has a yearly budget of $210. That's all the money he has to spend in a year on the YMCA is $210. And the question you're being asked here is how many months can Andrew belong to the YMCA? So now that we understand our situation, let's look at the information we have. So in this problem, which number represents the constraint? Remember, your constraint is your limit. In this case, Andrew's limit is $210. He cannot spend more than $210. We want to identify the amount that is a recurring amount, or an amount that repeats over and over again. In this case, the amount that repeats over and over again is the $21 that Andrew has to spend every month. And there's also a one-time fee, something that occurred only once. In this case, it's called an initial fee, but you might also see it written as like a flat fee or a starting value. And Andrew's initial fee is $65. So remember, he pays $65 and $21 every month, and he can't spend more than $210. Now the question we're being asked is how many months can Andrew belong to the YMCA? That's going to define our variable. We're trying to figure out how many months. So my variable M is going to represent the number of months. Okay, so the number of months Andrew can belong to the YMCA. When it comes to writing this inequality, we want to take all this information into account. Andrew has to pay a one-time fee of $65 and he's going to pay $21 every month. We don't know how many months it is, so I'm going to use the variable M. $21 times however many months he belongs to the YMCA. And he cannot spend more than $210. So $210 is the greatest amount he can spend. He has to spend less than that amount, or he could spend equal to it if he spends every single dollar he has. So my inequality is 65, his initial fee, plus his $21 every month, and that cannot be more than $210. So now let's go ahead and solve this. We're going to solve it just like any other inequality. We'll start by undoing this addition. So we're going to take away that initial fee. And once his initial fee is gone, he can pay, or he has $145 left. Oops, it's a little bit hard to see because it goes right into that line. Sorry about that. So he has $145 to spend, and it takes $21 every month. So to figure out how many months, we're going to divide this by 21. And when we do that, we find out the number of months is going to be less than or equal to 6.9. It comes out to be a really big long decimal, but I'm just going to leave it at 6.9. And you might be thinking, wait a second, what does that mean, 6.9 months? We'll talk about that in a second. Right now, let's graph this. So I'm going to start off, we haven't really graphed decimals yet, but I'll start with a 6, a 7, and a 5 here. My answer 6.9 is going to be close to 7, so I'll put it right here. And it could be equal to that, so I'll fill this in. It's got to be less than or equal to, okay? Less than or equal to 6.9. Now, if you look at this next question, is rounding appropriate? Here's what we want to think about. According to our math, when we figured this out mathematically, he could pay for 6.9 and a big long decimal, okay? When you're joining a gym or the YMCA, they don't let you pay for parts of a month, okay? So we need to figure out, are we talking about 6 months or 7 months? Is rounding appropriate? In this situation, if he has enough money for 6.9 months, should we round it up to 7? It's really close to 7, but does he have enough money to pay for 7 months? If you're not sure, look at your graph. Okay, here's where 7 is. Does he have enough money to pay for 7? No. We can see it's less than 7. If he bought 7 months, or if he tried to join the YMCA for 7 months, he would not have enough money. So our answer here is no. We would round it up to 7, but he doesn't have enough money for 7. He can only pay for 6 months, but then he'd have a little bit left over. So when we're asked for a viable solution, remember, a viable solution is a solution that would make this inequality true. And so what I'm going to say is a viable solution for this would be 6 months. He could join this YMCA for 6 months, and then I have to prove it. So to prove it, I'm going to take that inequality, 65 plus $21 every month, that needs to be less than $210. So I'm going to take my 6 months and plug it in, which means it's $21 every month for 6 months. And what I'm going to hope is when I find this answer, it's less than $210. So order of operations, I'm going to do my multiplication first. 21 times 6 is 126. And then my last step would be 65 plus 126 is $191. Is $191 less than 210? Yes. So what that means is this is a true solution. He could join the gym for 6 months and he would have a little bit of money left over. Now, for my non-viable solution, I'm going to pick a solution that didn't work. And I'm going to pick 7 months just to prove to you that 7 months wouldn't work. We can't round. So I've got my inequality, 65 plus $21 every month, and I want that to be less than 210. So 65, my $21 for 7 months. So $21 times 7 months is going to be 147. Oops, I missed that there. And we want this to be less than 210. So 65 plus 147 is $212. Is $212 less than 210? No. So this is not a viable solution. He does not have enough money for 7 months. He almost does. He would need $212, but he only has 210, so this is not viable. Go ahead and do your on your own problem and see if you can figure it out. Thanks.